Hi class, welcome to Renaissance Artists and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's jump into it. So your Renaissance artists with the Ninja Turtles are Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. This is just a fun picture of them with their Ninja Turtle mask on, just kind of some fun art for you. Leonardo da Vinci was a Renaissance painter, sculptor, architect, inventor, and military engineer and draftsman. He's really the true epitome of a Renaissance man. He's really gifted with a curious mind and a brilliant intellect, and he studied things like the law of science and nature, and he was really greatly informed of his work. His drawings and his paintings were have influence from countless artists, engineers all over the world, all over different countries, and he really truly understood anatomy, so it just makes him a really awesome artist. His famous artworks are the Mona Lisa, which you guys are probably all familiar with, and also the Last Supper. Those are his two most famous works. Some vocab for you before we get too far. Fresco. Fresco is where they put plaster on the wall and then add pigment to it. So fresco was highly used in the Renaissance. Here's a picture down here for you so you can kind of get a visual of it. And fresco means fresh in Italian. Contrapposto. Contrapposto is the asymmetrical arrangement of the human figure. So this is a great example of contrapposto down here. Your shoulders are turned, your hips are straight forward, and you have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. So here's a contrapposto. In almost all of the human sculptures of this time, use this positioning to really add interest, emotion, and lifelikeness to the artwork. Michelangelo. Notice that this figure over here is David, and he's doing the contrapposto. So Michelangelo was an Italian sculptor, painter, and architect and poet in the High Renaissance, born in Florence, and he really, really influenced Western art. So here is the Sistine Chapel, which he is super, super famous for, and also David, like we talked about. The Sistine Chapel and the Vatican. So here's the story behind the Sistine Chapel and the Vatican. So Pope Julius II commissioned Michelangelo to paint the ceiling in the Sistine Chapel in 1508. Originally, Michelangelo declined and said, no thanks. That seems like a lot of hard work. I don't want to do it. And then eventually he gave in and realized that would be such a cool artwork and such a great opportunity. So each ceiling panel is a fresco, which we talked about earlier. And Michelangelo worked on his back on scaffolding for 4 years. So it took 4 years to complete. And after the 4 years, he said, after 4 tortured years, more than 400 life-size figures, I felt old and weary. I was only 37, yet friends did not recognize the old man I had become. So here is some famous, it's like this hand right here, super, super famous. And then this is a broader picture of the Sistine Chapel, and that is the Vatican. Donatello. Donatello was a sculptor. He was really appreciated young. So before he was even 20 years old, he had a lot of commissions. He learned the Gothic style, and then later on in his career, he developed the style of really lifelike characteristics and highly emotional sculptors. And the reputation was really that he was just second to Michelangelo, and he was just really on that really high level. Raphael. Raphael was really famous for the School of Athens, which is down here. It is basically a bunch of philosophers. This painting is really amazing because it has great composition. He was admired for his work for its clarity and form, ease of composition, visual movements and how he could really render the human form. So he was also a popular architect during his time. So let's dive into this picture a little bit more. So it is really great because of its composition. So if you can tell, it has great perspective and it also has great symmetry. So this is a really amazing painting and it is very, very high up for its time. So this is a very long quote, but basically what happened was before the High Renaissance, artists were not on the same intellectual levels, let's say, as mathematicians or scientists or things like that. Leonardo really spent his time building up the art community and making people realize that if you are artists, you are also intellectual. Okay, you have to use a lot of anatomy and mathematics, geometry, and linear perspective in your artwork to create this level of artwork and this level of just strong culturally important artwork as well. So before his time, no one understood how intellectual artists were. After his time, people realized that it went hand in hand. So you can thank Leonardo that you are now an intellect and seen as an intellect as an artist. Thanks for watching. That is all for your Renaissance artists.